So we installed the, I don't know what you call it, the backup reader, I guess you would call it. The thing I showed you earlier. And I did a couple of things. I had to notch out my little plate here. If you remember, there was this angle, went all the way up. I had to take that off on this, then I had to relieve it a little bit, make sure that wheel cleared. And I think the most important thing I did was I got rid of that little bridge piece on top of here. It was acting like a little roof, and it was not letting the light in there and hard to read the number. So I just took it off, and what a world of difference, huh? You can see it now. You don't have to bend down and look at it. And so what I do is I just put a clamp on it, and I had to put a little thread up here, a bolt with a thread, to control my back and forth motion. It was just too hard to hold it down and put a clamp and move it, because you don't know how much you're moving it. So I had a little T-bolt there, and just stuck a bolt in there and clamped it onto the table so I can control the back and forth motion. But it looks like it's going to be alright. I can sit here and the other one where I had the index wheel on it, I should have rotated the wheel so the numbers, instead of being on the front, were on the back. And then I wouldn't have to reach around to the front to read the numbers. I could have just read them like this. That would have been a whole lot easier. I just wasn't thinking, I guess. But anyway, I just took a slit and saw and I put a mark on it. And I got this zeroed out. And I was really surprised that if I go to move this, there's a lot of resistance there. That rubber band is doing a really good job. So it's doing what it's supposed to do, putting friction on that thing. We're going to rotate this. We'll go 180. Well, we're still lined up front. We're still good here, but it's not really for going 180. I mean, 360. It's for doing the individual divisions. Like if I was doing 40 and another 40, and, just to double check everything. But when I spin it, if the motor's on here and you're spinning it, mine doesn't go this fast, but if you're spinning it, so when it gets to where it's supposed to go, and it's still zero there, and it's still zero there, so it's not really losing any steps. Of course, the one I got, it moves pretty slow. I guess it's about that fast. But, yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm surprised. It turned out a lot better than I expected. And I think I could put a little guard on it. A little chip guard. Keep the chips out of it. And might be able to use it a little bit more until I get that the other encoder thing going on. But yeah, it's working out real well. Yeah, I had to take one of those bolts out. The cut I put in there kind of eliminated that. Alright. Okay, so what we did here was we put the plate that I had the wheel on onto the indexer plate. I just put a clamp on there. Now the adjustment was so fine back and forth to get the wheel right. I had to attach a threaded bolt. I used a bolt here to make my adjustment back and forth on here, and then I used the clamp to clamp it down. So it was a little tight there. I had to cut this one leg on the far side, had to cut that off, and I got my little cover for my bearing. So I attached a slitting saw to the front and just put a mark on it as a reference. And I thought about it before, is I could have taken that timing disc and just turned it around, and I wouldn't have to go on the far side to read the numbers. I could have just read them on this side, but nevertheless. So anyway, I didn't have the piece that went in the back to clamp the chuck for the collet, so I had to use the one off the manual machine, which is this green one. And I only put 2 bolts in the belt, so I just want to put it together, see how it worked out. So I attached the one cable. I don't even have the brake hooked up, don't have the remote hooked up. So I just wanted to see how it worked out with the changing the micro stepping from 8 to 1 and putting that motor delay from 5 back to 1. I mean from 1 back to 5. It was 5, then I changed it to 1, and it didn't seem to work right, so I put it back to 5. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and turn this on. And let me, I rotated it. I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to turn it off so I can bring this back to 0. Oh yeah, this little bridge piece I had on top of here where you had to look through it like this, I took that off. Now it's a 200% better. I don't know why I did that. I was just trying to be cute or whatever, and but it wasn't functional, so now it's easier to read. Let me turn this back on. So we'll go 4 divisions. Okay, so this is the 3rd try at this video. The first one, I had the unit hooked up manually, and just trying out the new wheel arrangement, and it seemed to work pretty good. But you know, you don't know till the unit's operating. So the second video was with the electronics hooked up, and Bill was in the background on both the first video and the second, and he was making a lot of noise. He doesn't do a lot of work, but he makes a lot of noise. He cranks that machine up 8,000, 9,000. Oh, you just got to live with it, you know. But anyway, I hooked the electronics up. And originally, I had the micro stepping at, what was it, 8. So I wanted it to go faster, and I wasn't sure how to make it go faster, and I thought, well, I'll change the micro stepping to 0. Or was it 1? Yeah, it was 1. There is no 0, it's 1. And when I tried it out, it went too fast. I wasn't ready for that. And so I had to bring it back home, and I had to go back into the program, and I changed it to 2. You got 1, 2, 8, 16, and I think 32. And I didn't need it that fast. So I was hoping that 2 was a little bit slower, but yet it was still kind of quick. And that's what it was. It slowed it down a little bit, but it's still a lot faster than that 8 microsteps. So anyway, I thought I'd show it to you, and this time I hooked the degree wheel up backwards so you could see it, because the original time I had to reach the camera around and use a mirror and this and that, and I guess I just wasn't thinking about it, and so this is a lot easier. So over here we got the, as I explained in the first 2 videos, I took that little thing off the top. Gave me a lot more room, and I took the adjustment on this was so fine that I had to put a little threaded screw in here so I could move it back and forth to get that adjustment just close. I mean, you're not going to get it perfect because I'm only doing 0 to 360. If I was making like 10 rotations on it or something like that, it would have to be a lot closer. But I'm just going from, I rotated it several times and it's pretty close. But like I said, this is just gives me a visual as to where the rotation is. because when you punch it into the box and you tell it to go somewhere, you know, you're expecting it to go there, but you really don't know. So anyway, I'm going to turn this on and show you what happens. So I'm going to do, I always start out with 4. I don't know why I always do 4. But we'll see what happens. You'll notice that it's a lot faster than the original videos I had. Pretty quick. That's pretty good speed. That's 180. 90. And almost back to 0. I think it's slipping a little bit. I got a lot of tension on there, but I never expected to go that fast. So I think I might have to put just a little more spring pressure on that, because I really don't want to slow it down. I got a fairly light spring on there. I'm going to have to probably put a little bigger one on there. But I'm really happy with it. Now see, it's a little bit further off than it was the first time. And I think that has a lot to do with this original wheel. Now that's solid steel, except for the holes they put in there. And there's a lot of mass there. A lot of, you know, you're trying to get that mass moving very quickly, and then you're trying to slow it down very quickly. And it might be a little too much for that spring. But you know, that's a tiny little bug we can fix real easy. I just find a little longer spring and put it in there. But you know, essentially, you know, everything seems to be really good. So I'm going to change the divisions to 2, and we'll see what happens. So that's just a little bit off. I'll go back the other way. Now if you can see the degree wheel, it's still, I mean, the degree wheel seems to be where it's supposed to be. All that turning, and it's still basically 0. So the unit is working like it's supposed to. The numbers seem to be good. This like I said, I'll put a little bigger spring in there, but we'll change the units to 1. Now there, it seems to be holding pretty good, because it's not stopping and starting as much. It's only starting and stopping one time. But of course the adjustment might be off a little bit too. But overall, I think it's going to be okay. At least I have a lot more confidence in it now than I did before, and it's moving at a good speed. So I think it's going to be okay. I'll build a little cover for this guy, keep the chips out of it, and we'll get this thing back to work and put some parts on it. Okay, talk to you later.